Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, and welcome to Nerd Problems Gaming, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be doing a review of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core for PSP, so stay tuned. Now, for a lot of people, Final Fantasy VII is one of their favorites in the entire series, and it's definitely right up there as one of my favorites as well. And one thing that really draws me into an RPG to begin with, obviously the gameplay, the level up mechanics, but then also the storyline as well. And so Final Fantasy VII being one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, it was definitely exciting to see them make a prequel to that game in the storyline to really see what happens. Now, again, I guess maybe spoiler alert, Final Fantasy VII is probably almost 20 years old, if not more than that at this point. So if you haven't played it, definitely play it. But, you know, at the same time, within the story, the main character, Cloud, that you play as for the majority of the story, basically he has grown up as being a soldier with Shinra, kind of the military within the game, the evil empire, per se, I guess, throughout the game. And so he kind of adopts this personality from one of his mentors, one of the guys that he worked with in Soldier that was like a much higher level than him. And, you know, Cloud was just kind of a basic infantryman, you know, nothing exciting, right? And so he kind of had these visions of grandeur and really based a lot of what he wanted to achieve off of Zack, the main character that you play as in Crisis Core. And so, you know, throughout the storyline of Final Fantasy VII, he kind of has adopted almost the personality and adopted the life almost of Zack in Final Fantasy VII, and so it's cool to really see that backstory. You know, who was Zack? Where did he come from? You know, you only get to really see him in a couple clips throughout Final Fantasy VII. They talk about him, but you don't really know the full story. So it's cool to be able to actually play as that in this game, and so you basically play as Zack. He's like a second-class soldier, so not the most elite, but almost right there. Right, and so you play as him and you go through different missions, you find out the backstory that led up to, again, Final Fantasy VII. And then also, this game is a little bit unique where it's not your traditional turn-based RPG, which most Final Fantasy games are up until this point, and this one is more of like an action RPG. Now, in the more recent installments of Final Fantasy, a lot more of the games are kind of like this. You know, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 12 have this more action RPG element to it, but this was kind of one of the first ones that they did like that. So it was definitely unique getting to play like that. And so you had your, you know, your main attack that you used, but then you also had where you could use items, magic, and, you know, different buttons would do different things beyond your basic attack. You could like dodge and roll and block throughout the battles, and it was a cool new concept that hadn't really been done in a Final Fantasy game up until this point, so that aspect was pretty cool. But a lot of other things which they changed kind of from the Final Fantasy mold, I really liked a lot in this game as well. So, you know, one aspect that was pretty cool is they kind of did away with weapons pretty much in the game. You just have your base sword, you know, you upgrade it throughout the storyline a little bit, but at the same time, it's not like traditional RPGs or Final Fantasy games where you can go to item shops, you're going to find unique and rare weapons. It's not really what happens in this game. So you basically have your base attack with the sword that you have pretty much throughout the entire game. And one of the main ways that you're going to improve yourself is through the materia. And so materia is really a big thing. It's kind of like the magic in Final Fantasy VII, and so that was a big thing in that game, but it's even more so in this game, where not only are you creating the spells like the fire, the lightning, you know, the ice, the HP ups, the summons, different things like that, right? So you have those in this game as well, but more so in this game, they're going to be improving your stats, upping your HP, improving your attack. And what's cool is this game has more of like a materia fusion system where you're going to be combining different materials that you level up and find throughout the game to creating whole new materias, and you can have, you know, a set number that you can equip, and that's going to adjust your stats, your abilities that you have as you play, you know, from healing yourself to attacking enemies, and you can switch them out quite frequently throughout the game as well. So if you're going into a battle where maybe you need, you know, ice type attacks, you can have that. Or again, you might equip yourself with a poison blade, and so you can do attacks like that. So it's pretty cool, really, the massive customization that you can do with the materia system in this game. But some things that are a little bit different with it, you don't necessarily level up like traditional Final Fantasy games where you're getting experience. It's kind of a weird slot machine thing in this game where, you know, you have to get the perfect roll of the slot machine where they're all Zack, if I remember right, and then you're going to level up in that instance. But there's no really way to gauge how that's going to happen. It's not like an experience gauge. You know, it's not based on, oh, if I do X number of missions, I'm going to level up. So it's pretty random. Thankfully, though, again, the majority of your stat increases, how you're going to build your character, is through that materia. And so you're going to gain SP, soldier points you can use to, you know, upgrade your materia. And it also activates this slot machine roll as well as you're in battles. And so what's cool with that, you can summon, you know, basically summons, but then also main characters from the Final Fantasy VII game as well. A lot of them are introduced in this game as well because it is a prequel. So it's cool getting to meet those characters that you already know their backstory, so that's fun to get to see them in this prequel version as well. But then they'll come out and help you if you roll like that, you know, that perfect slot machine aspect with it. Cool. So again, that's kind of constantly spinning in the battles as well, so you'll get cool things coming up, healing you, great damage attacks, cool things like that. So it's a pretty fun mechanic, but it's definitely unique. It hasn't really been done in other Final Fantasy games that I'm aware of, and I think I've played them all. So, you know, it's kind of unique to this game. It's kind of a cool feature. But again, if you really like that, leveling up, building up your character, you certainly get that in the materia side of things, but maybe not necessarily in leveling up your character, you know, finding better weapons, finding better armor. You can equip an accessory, but again, it's not really to the extent of other games where you're going to be really focused on that. More so, it's just going to be built on, you know, building that materia, fusing new ones, creating new things, you know, determining different strategies you want to use with that. But then it also has that action RPG element where you're dodging attacks, you're rolling, you're attacking, different things like that. So it's a little bit different. You know, what's cool, there's a lot of content in this game. I put a lot of hours into this game when I was playing it. But, you know, you have all these different missions that you can do, which is cool. There's a ton that you can do, but they can get kind of repetitive. You know, it's a pretty simplistic dungeon design in a lot of cases where it's kind of the same maps redone over and over and over again. You know, you maybe just have to go different paths, right, that you have access to, but it's pretty much the same skins, just, you know, copy and paste it in different dungeons. So that can get a little bit repetitive in that sense. So there's not as necessarily as much uniqueness, but at the same time, I did play a ton of missions and put a lot of hours into that as well. So it's actually a pretty long game if you're going to do all the different side quests, try and get all the extra things as well. And then there's different bosses that are really hard that are within these missions that, again, you're not really going to find in the main storyline as well. But another thing that's kind of cool is once you beat it, you can get a new game plus, and then you can basically start over and then have all the materia that you had at the end of the game. So you can continue to level those up, continue to build up your character, you know, try and do new missions you maybe couldn't do before, you know, go and do a new part of the story where you're really good, right? And you can crush it. So there's a lot of different things like that, which is pretty cool as well. Now, I know for me, this is actually pretty much the only reason I got a PSP. Unfortunately, they started talking about this game probably 3 to 5 years before it actually came out, and they were showing screenshots, like hyping it up, this is coming. So I really got a PSP way too early. So I definitely would have waited until this actually did come out. But I got it right away thinking it was going to come out in a year, and then they'd push it back another year and another year and another year. So that was kind of frustrating when this actually came out. But I guess now I would think you can probably get a PSP for not really that expensive and probably find this game as well. So I would definitely think it'd be cool if they did a remake of this game. You know, let me know in the comments below if you think that'd be fun too, or if you like this game, if you like the switch that they made, kind of the action RPG element versus the traditional turn-based RPG, how you like that materia system. You know, do you like that better than the original Final Fantasy VII, or do you like this spin on it that they did as well? So definitely let me know in the comments below. You know, did you like this game? Did you have fun playing it as well? Or if you haven't checked it out, you know, definitely check it out. It's really fun, you know, really worth a playthrough. And like I said, I put a lot of hours into this game and it was a lot of fun. So I highly recommend it. So again, hopefully you got some benefit and value out of this video. If you did, feel free to comment and share. And then also maybe you'd like to help us pick videos on the channel, get early access to our videos and more. If so, consider becoming a patron of ours over on patreon.com/nerdproblemsgaming. Again, that's patreon.com/nerdproblemsgaming. And then, like I said, you can get early access to videos, help us pick videos and more by becoming a patron over there. And it helps the channel out too, so we can get out more great content faster for you. And then also, maybe you'd like to check out some of our live streams that we do over on Twitch. If you'd like to follow us over there and plug into us live streaming and Let's Plays and more over there, you can follow us over on Twitch at twitch.tv/MikeMacDirect. Again, that's twitch.tv/MikeMacDirect. But once again, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you more soon.